A very good morning, class 10 students. I welcome you all on this online platform provided by Jagriti Classes. So today we are going to start a new chapter, which is chapter number 15, our environment. So this chapter is about the environment or all the natural things which you see around us. And this chapter is of biology. So we are going to start this chapter. So first term, that is, what is the meaning of the name environment? So the name environment and ecosystem, there are two terms which are used in a same general meaning. So these are a bit different. Okay, so whenever we are talking about environment, environment means everything which is present around us. It tells us about all the living and the non-living components which are present around us, and they are included in environment. So let's start this chapter, environment. So what is actually the definition of environment? If we see, so various scientists, various ecologists, they have given different terms and different definitions of the term environment. So there was a scientist called C.C. Park. According to him, environment refers to the sum total of all conditions which surround a man at a given point in space and time. So environment is what? Environment is everything, that is the sum total of all the conditions which are surrounding or which are present in the surrounding of any organism at a given space and at a given particular time. So this is what environment means. So if you want to write a definition, so you can write in definition of environment in this manner. Now there were many scientists which gave different definitions of environment, but if we make a conclusion, then the conclusion comes out to be same. That is, environment is everything which is present around any organism at a particular space and at the given time. So another scientist, Douglas and Holland, they also defined the term environment. And the term environment is used to describe in the aggregate. Aggregate means in a combined manner in sum total. So in the aggregate, all the external forces, influences and conditions which affect the life, nature, behavior, growth, development and maturity of living organism. So this is also a definition of environment proposed, and this is also, if you take out the conclusion, then what does this says? That the term environment, it is used to describe in aggregate. In aggregate means as a combined form or in sum total. All the external forces, whatever you have as the external force, like all the conditions, all the influence and conditions which is affecting the life of any organism. And in what manner is the external conditions affecting the life? In the nature, in the behavior of organism, in the pattern of growth, development, and in the maturity of living organisms. So these are all the conditions or all the components which we can include in an environment. That is, all your external surrounding conditions are called your environment. And this environment, it is very important because it shows effect on the nature, behavior, the patterns of growth, the pattern how the organism would get developed, and in the maturity of living organisms. So in this way, you can write or you can define the term environment. I hope this is clear. So now in your books, in the introduction, it has been given that what is environment, as the name of the chapter is. So we have to understand all the external conditions present in our surroundings is the environment. Then the next is every living organism, either plant, animals, bacteria, any living organism if we talk of, then all the living organisms, they produce certain waste. Okay, we have read in life processes, the human digestive system and all the others, you know that in amoeba or in any of the living organism if we talk of, then they produce certain kind of waste. So these waste is what? All the undesirable or unuseful substance is called as waste. So if I try to define waste, then waste would be any unwanted and undesirable substance is termed as waste. So we can classify all the waste into two major categories. The first would be biodegradable, the next is non-biodegradable. And I know you all have done this from your junior classes, you are doing the terms. So we'll be seeing two different categories of waste. What do you mean by biodegradable? Biodegradable are a kind of waste which can be decomposed or degraded. they take a very long time, but at last they get decomposed. And non-biodegradable, which do not decompose, that is, they take very longer time compared to biodegradable, and hence we say that these waste, they do not get decomposed. So these are biodegradable and non-biodegradable. For example, can you name any of the biodegradable substances? Yes, the paper bags are biodegradable, whereas the plastic bags are non-biodegradable. Then you have wood. Okay, so wood is again a biodegradable waste, and whereas any other non-biodegradable waste can you think of? There are many non-biodegradable and biodegradable waste. So let's look at the point of comparison between both the waste. So these are the two categories of waste, biodegradable and non-biodegradable. Biodegradable waste are the waste which can be broken down, or biodegradable means those waste that can be degraded. So biodegradable waste, they can be degraded. Degraded means destroyed, okay? Here the term degradable means which can be degraded or destroyed. And bio means by the action of living organisms. So biodegradable waste means those waste which can be decomposed, which can be degraded by living organisms, and hence non-biodegradable, those waste which cannot be degraded by the action of living organisms. So the first point is itself the definition. Biodegradable waste, these can be broken down into simple non-poisonous substances by the action of microorganisms in nature. So here these microorganisms, these are living, and the microorganism or the living organisms present in the nature, they act on these substances, and now these complex substances, they are degraded. What is the meaning of the word degraded here? So degraded means the breakdown of complex substances into simpler forms. Breakdown of complex substances into simple forms. It is called biodegradable waste, or okay, this process is called degradation or decomposition. And those microorganisms which biodegrade the waste or which decompose the waste, those are termed as decomposers, okay? So the microorganisms which function in the process of degradation or decomposition, these are called decomposers. And this term also you have read in your junior classes. So decomposers are what? Decomposers is a class of microorganisms which act on the waste, that is, which act on complex wasteful substances and convert them into simple forms or simple non-poisonous absorbable forms. So this is what the process of degradation means, and the microorganisms which perform degradation or decomposition process, these are called decomposers. So now moving on to the first point in non-biodegradable category. These cannot be broken down into simpler non-poisonous substance by the action of microorganisms in nature. So the important is these cannot be broken down, they can be broken down. The next is they can be recycled naturally as well as by man, and their products do not pollute the environment. So when these waste, they are recycled naturally, this means by microorganisms, or we can also, the human beings can also recycle these waste. And their products, you know, the products produced are very simple and non-poisonous. So because they are non-poisonous, they are non-polluting. That is, they do not cause any pollution in the environment. Whereas non-biodegradable, these cannot be broken down, which means the same, they cannot be recycled naturally, and as well as by man. Human beings also do not have. Now we have many advanced facilities or industrial apparatus by which we can recycle non-biodegradable waste up to a large extent, but that too we are restricted. We cannot recycle non-biodegradable waste completely, okay? only up to a certain limit, only up to a certain extent, these waste can be degraded. And their products, whichever the products are formed, they cause environmental pollution, extreme pollution they cause. The third point is, these are made up of natural ingredients and thus they can be broken down very easily. So these are made up of natural, or you can even write these are made up of comparatively simpler ingredients. And these waste, these are made up of synthetic materials, so it is very complex to break them off. The next is, they can produce useful products, but they do not change. They recycle, they produce simple, non-poisonous, non-polluting and useful products after they get degraded into simpler forms. But these, because they do not get decomposed, so they remain unchanged chemically as they are non-biodegradable. So these waste, these are remaining in their synthetic or in their complex form. These are not broken down into simple forms. So because these waste remain in the synthetic or complex forms, so they remain unchanged chemically. The fifth point is, they do not disturb the ecological balance, but these cause pollution and they disturb the ecological balance of nature. Sixth is, they persist for small time in the environment. That is, they take time to get degraded, but the time is limited, okay? So they only remain in the environment. Persist means they remain in the environment for a shorter duration of time compared to these waste. Once you take a polythene polybag, okay, once you take a plastic polythene, then if you throw it in the soil, that polythene would remain there after hundreds and thousands of years also. So hence, these, they remain or persist for very extreme duration in our environment. Whereas these waste, if you throw a paper instead of polythene, okay, then after 15 to 20 days, you'll not be able to see that paper. So what is the meaning? That they remain for very less time in the environment, whereas these wastes are non-biodegradable, they persist for a longer time. Seventh is the example, that is paper, cow dung and wood crumbles are non-biodegradable, whereas plastic bags, synthetic fibers, cans, all these are non-biodegradable. Okay, so now we'll do what are the harmful effects of these waste. So some of the harmful effects are in front of you, and there are many other harmful effects now which you can write down, okay? Write at least 5 more points for harmful effects of all the kinds of waste which we have. So the first point says, the waste destroys the natural beauty and our surroundings become dirty. So this is the first, that it is destroying the natural beauty, the scenic beauty, and our surroundings become dirty. Natural beauty you can also refer to as, it destroys the scenic beauty of any place and it makes the surroundings dirty. Now decomposition of these waste results in the production of foul smell. So we can say not only biodegradable, we can say that not only non-biodegradable waste, they are harmful. Biodegradable waste are also harmful, because see, we said that biodegradable waste, they can undergo degradation, okay? They can get biodegraded, but when these will go degradation or decomposition, then during the process of decomposition, these waste results in the production of foul smell which spreads to the surrounding areas. So when the biodegradable waste are getting decomposed by action of microbes, then they produce a very bad smell or a foul smell. The third point is, these waste may block the drains, okay, creating pools of waste which become the breeding sites for mosquitoes, and you know, once the mosquito is produced, it can cause a numerous number of diseases. So mosquitoes are a carrier of disease like malaria and dengue. Remember, mosquito is just a carrier for malaria, it is not the pathogen which gives us the disease malaria. So you should remember the difference between the two terms, okay? Carriers, which are also known as vectors. So vectors are called the carrier of disease, whereas the causative organism, that is the organism which is actually causing the disease, it is known as pathogens. This you have done in your previous class, that is class 9th. when you were doing chapter that why do we fall ill, okay? So in those chapter you have the two terms, vectors and pathogens. So it was just a recap for you. So these are some of the harmful effects, and now you can write at least 5 more points you write in your notebooks about the harmful effects of waste. So the next we'll focus on the term ecosystem. So what is ecosystem? You can also define this term ecosystem. See, let's define it. Ecosystem, it is the interaction between the living organisms with the non-living things. So in this manner you can define the term ecosystem, okay? And a beautiful ecosystem is in front of you. So what is ecosystem? Ecosystem is the zone where non-living and living things, they interact with each other. So this zone is known as ecosystem. In turn, we defined ecosystem. It is the zone in which interaction between living organisms and non-living organisms takes place. You can see here, you have many living and non-living organisms. Let's suppose, see, these are all the different types of living organisms, okay, and the non-living organisms. Okay, sorry, plants are also living. So the non-living organism would be water, then it would be the sun, which is again a abiotic component of ecosystem, that is non-living component. Then you have many minerals which are present in the water. Then you have land. So land is also non-living or the abiotic component. So this is what ecosystem is. That is, when the living organisms, they interact with the non-living organisms and both are benefited. So this is called ecosystem. Now ecosystem has two components. That is, there are two components of ecosystem, biotic and abiotic. So let's see what is the flow chart of ecosystem. Firstly, you have been given the types of ecosystem with examples. So ecosystem, it can be natural or it can be man-made. So if we draw the flow chart of ecosystem, that is types of ecosystem. So this ecosystem, it can be divided into two categories. So the first one would be natural ecosystem and the next one would be man-made ecosystem. Man-made is also known as synthetic ecosystem, okay? So natural ecosystem, as you can see in the picture, you can have two different types of natural ecosystem. So natural ecosystem is again divided into two different kinds, which is one is the terrestrial, that is the land ecosystem, and the next one would be the water ecosystem, or it is known as aquatic ecosystem. For man-made or synthetic, you can even call it to be the artificial ecosystem. And this can also be natural, or sorry, not natural. This can also be man-made or aquatic or terrestrial. So man-made ecosystem can also be of the two similar categories, that is terrestrial man-made ecosystem and aquatic man-made ecosystem. So some of the examples are being provided. Firstly, if we see the natural terrestrial ecosystem, then you have grasslands, forests and deserts. These are the natural terrestrial ecosystems. For the natural aquatic ecosystems, you have oceans and freshwater lakes, because lakes and oceans, they are present naturally. Whereas talking about artificial or man-made ecosystem, aquatic artificial aquarium is a kind of water or aquatic ecosystem. So an artificial aquatic ecosystem is your aquarium, and the terrestrial man-made ecosystem is crop field is an example of terrestrial man-made ecosystem. So I hope all the categories are very clear in your mind now, okay, after seeing the picture with their examples. And this is the flow chart that is about types of ecosystem. So next we are seeing the components of ecosystem. Remember, these are two different words, types and components. Types means ecosystem can be of different varieties, but components are the different parts which combine to make up an ecosystem. That is, if you want to study what do you mean by ecosystem, I told you, when the living and non-living components, they interact with each other. That interaction zone is called ecosystem. So if I ask you, what is an ecosystem made up of? So you will say ecosystem is made up of different components, and these are the two broad varieties of components. That is, the first is abiotic component or factors, and the next is biotic component. So abiotic factors, or you can even write abiotic components. Abiotic includes all the kind of non-living components which are present in an ecosystem. So abiotic means the non-living, all the kind of non-living components present in our ecosystem. Whereas biotic component means the living components of an ecosystem. So biotic means the living components present in an ecosystem. So these are the two kinds of components which makes up an ecosystem. Talking about abiotic, we can further categorize abiotic into two factors. The first is climatic, the next is edaphic. So climatic, for example, it is given rain, temperature, light, wind, all these are the climatic factors. Whereas the edaphic factors are the soil, pH, presence of minerals, topography of a region. Okay, topography means either the region is plain, plateau, mountains, anything. This gives you what is the physical features. Okay, the physical features of land is known as topography. So you can have two kinds of abiotic components. The first is climatic factors, which are regulated by sunlight, temperature, humidity, rain, and the next are edaphic factors, which include the soil, pH, presence of minerals, and topography. In the same manner, we can further classify biotic components into three categories. The first one would be producers, that are the green plants which can make their own food. These are also called autotrophs. The next category is consumers. You can have different variety of consumers. Consumers, the organisms which cannot make their own food, and these are dependent on the producers for their nutrition. Okay, you can write it down. I'm not writing the definitions. I'll repeat it once more. Producers. So biotic components, you have three categories. The first one is producers. Producers are the organisms which can synthesize their own food. So they are known as producers, the organisms which can make their own food. And because they produce their own food, they are called producers, or they are also called autotrophs. Auto means they are making their own food themselves. So these are also called as autotrophs. The next comes consumers. Consumers are the organisms which cannot make their own food, but they depend on others for their food. So in this categories, who comes? Carnivores, herbivores, omnivores, all the animals. And in turn, they are known as heterotrophs. Okay, and then you have the term decomposers. I told you already, decomposers are the microorganisms which help in waste decomposition. That is, breaking down of waste from complex to simpler forms is done by decomposers, and the example of decomposers are bacteria and fungus. So these decomposers, they are also called as saprotrophs. Saprotrophs means the organisms which feed on dead and decaying matter. So the organisms which feed on dead and decaying matter are called saprotrophs. Heterotrophs, which cannot make their own food and dependent on other. Autotrophs is the term for producers, that is, which can make their own food. Example is green plant, which make their own food by the process of photosynthesis. Then you have three categories in consumers. Consumers, you can also call them to be heterotrophs. So you have three to four categories, that is primary consumer, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary. So you have heard some terms. If I talk about consumers or heterotrophs, these are one and the same thing. The organisms which cannot make their own food, these are dependent on producers for their food. So these can be of different types. You can have different types of consumers. So you have heard the term herbivores. Then you have heard carnivores. And you know what are omnivores. Okay. So herbivores are organisms which are dependent on plant or which eat the plant and grasses directly. So these herbivores, these are called the primary consumers, or you can call them to be the 1-degree consumers. Whereas carnivores, they are dependent on animals for food. That is, these are the flesh-eating animals. So carnivores are called 2-degree consumers, or you can call them to be the secondary consumers. Whereas omnivores might be secondary, they might be tertiary consumers. Okay, that is, if we'll talk on the next topic about food chain. So there you will know what do you mean by primary consumers, which come on the first consumer level. Then after primary, you have the second level of consumers, which are called secondary consumers. Then you have more large animals, omnivores. They can be secondary sometimes, they can be tertiary, or they may be 4-degree, that is quaternary. So 3-degree consumers means the tertiary consumers, and 4-degree means quaternary consumers. So these are basically 1-degree, 2-degree are basically the level of consumers based on the position at which they are coming. That is, if you have a plant, the insect which is eating the plant, it would be a consumer. The plant is known as producer. The insect which would be eating the plant would be called as primary consumer or 1-degree consumer. Then let's suppose there is a bird which is eating the insect. So the bird would be the next consumer. So insect is coming on the primary or first level. Then you have the bird which is eating the insect. So the bird is on the second level, which is known as secondary consumer or 2-degree consumer. And then you again have a very large bird, okay, eating the small bird. So that large bird would be the 3rd level consumer, 3-degree or tertiary. And then you have any other carnivore animal. Okay, any animal you can think of, and that is eating the large bird. Then that omnivorous or carnivorous animal would come at your 4th level in this sequence. So in a particular sequence, when we arrange the organism based on their food habit, okay, so this is called a food chain. And the position of the consumers or those organisms, it is represented using the words primary, secondary, tertiary, quaternary, or in short you can say 1-degree, 2-degree, 3-degree and 4-degree consumer. So these words, I hope these are clear. These words are used to denote or they indicate the position at which the organism is coming in a food chain. Okay, so these were the 2 basic categories of ecosystem, abiotic and biotic, and their further classification. So I hope these are clear. Remember these words, okay, saprotrops, heterotrops and autotrops. These are very important. These are the scientific term for producers. Consumers are called heterotrops. Decomposers are also known as saprotrops. And so if I ask you, what kind of nutrition do decomposers have? So you can say they have a saprotrophic nutrition. Consumers have a heterotrophic nutrition, okay? In this way you can say them. Now we are on a topic which is called functions of ecosystem. So ecosystem, I told you the basic features of ecosystem. So now can you tell me about the functions of a ecosystem? Ecosystem has many different functions, okay? There are many different functions which are performed by ecosystem. You can make a long list of it. So functions of ecosystem, if we talk about, then they can be classified into certain headings. So for the first function would be ecosystem, it helps in nutrient cycling. Okay. Nutrient cycling means biogeochemical cycles occur in ecosystem. Do you remember this word, biogeochemical cycles? You have heard this word, okay, in your previous class. So biogeochemical cycles means, see, when all the nutrients present in the ecosystem, they always undergo a cyclic process. That is, they are used up continuously and they are also released into the environment continuously. For example, if we talk of very common nutrient like the water, so you have heard the term water cycle? Definitely yes. So water cycle, water you can consider to be a nutrient, and this water, it is used up. You know in water cycle what happens? The rain water comes, so we receive the water in form of rain, snow, and the environment also receives the water back with the process of evaporation. So all these cyclic process, if you can imagine the water cycle in your minds, then you will say that water goes into the environment through the process of evaporation, transpiration by the plants, okay, and in respiration also water is released out. So this water, what it is done, now it is used, now it undergo condensation process to form the clouds, and then it again receive, and then it again comes on the ground. So in this cyclic manner, the water is cycled, so this is called biogeochemical cycle. You have similar cycles for nitrogen, oxygen, okay, that is oxygen is used up and also released in various process. Like for respiration we use oxygen, then oxygen is required for combustion, that is for burning. So if we will take oxygen, then what is the source of oxygen? Who is providing us oxygen? So we know green plants during photosynthesis, they give out oxygen. So everywhere in the environment the balance is made between all the nutrients, because in some process the nutrients are used up, so there are many other processes which help in the release of nutrients back into the environment. So I hope this is clear. And the next, you can classify the functions of ecosystem. The first one is it helps in nutrient cycling. Then you can write it helps in energy flow, or it helps in transfer of matter and energy. Okay, that is, you know that green plants, they receive energy from the sunlight, and green plants convert the solar energy or the sunlight energy into their food energy, into chemical energy, that is in the form of food, carbohydrate, glucose which they make. So glucose is a chemical substance. So we can say green plants convert solar energy into chemical energy. And now this chemical energy, it is when the animal eats the plant, then this chemical energy from the plant, it goes into the animals. And in this way, ecosystem, it helps in the transfer of matter. In the similar manner, matter can also be transferred, and in the transfer of energy. So now you can write many other functions of ecosystem, okay, the basic functions which we know. So this completes part 1 of this chapter, that is still functions of ecosystem we have done. And in the next, we'll be starting with the other topics, that is we'll be starting with food chain, food web. I would be telling you what do you mean by the term trophic level. Then we'll be discussing 10% energy transfer law. And after all these topics, we'll be moving on to the next, that is ozone depletion, okay, how it is caused. And then what are some of the tips which we can follow for reducing the waste production. Because you know production of waste, we have discussed, it is a very big problem. It is a very big issue, okay. So we have much amount of waste produced, and we should know the tips how we can control the waste production or generation of waste. So this is for today. I hope this chapter is very easy and interesting. So do follow it continuously, okay? Thank you for joining today's class, and we'll be finishing or completing this chapter in the next class. So stay home, stay safe, keep studying, keep following us. Thank you.